Alright, I'm gonna be honest here, and you have to promise me that you won't judge. But looking at the week that I have coming up, it's kind of scaring me a little. I have 3 big tests coming up, plus I have to make this iGen video, and then I have work and school, and I don't know where I'm gonna find time to do everything that I gotta get done. I mean, there's no way that I'm gonna be able to find time to study. I just can't. Well, maybe there is a way. Welcome everyone to Through God's Eyes, Part 3. I can't do it. How many times have we said it, or maybe heard that phrase being used? Well, think about it, because telling yourself that you can't do something is a label. It's a label of your inability. And there's one crazy story in the Bible where God has something to say about those labels of inability. Now Sarai, Abram's wife, had borne him no children, but she had an Egyptian slave named Hagar. So she said to Abram, "The Lord has kept me from having children. Go, sleep with my slave. Perhaps I can build a family through her."
Now, when I first started writing the script, I was actually going to leave this story out. I had known the story, but it had always put Sarai in a bad light, in my opinion. But looking back at the passage when I was doing the script, I learned something. Take a look carefully at the words that are being used here. The first verse starts by saying that she had not had children. Not that she couldn't, but at this point, she hadn't had any. Then look at verse 2 again at what Sarai says. So she said to Abraham, "The Lord has kept me from having children." First sentence, "The Lord has kept me." And I don't know about you guys, that sounds like a label of her inability. She's saying I can't have kids, except she's putting it in Christianese by saying the Lord has kept me from doing so. But look carefully at something. What does she do because of her label?
Because the Lord has kept me from having kids, go have children with my servant, and she can bear a child. Well, here's the takeaway. You see, Sarai's label of inability was the cause of her sin. She said, because I cannot have kids, Abram, go have children with someone else. And this situation is so common today. I mean, not that specifically, but the general concept around it, where Sarai says that she cannot do something and tries to find another way. You know what that almost sounds like to me? Doubt. But not doubt in herself as much as it's doubt in God's plan. You see, she's moping around in her inability and then deciding to take this situation into her own hands. Why? Because she doubted God's plan. And listen, on a personal note, I know how that feels. I know that it can be really difficult to trust God's plan when we can only see a small portion of it. I mean, we know that He can see the whole thing, but it's still tough. But here's what we learn. Sarai's label of inability and her doubt was the cause of her sin. That sin being trying to find another way instead of just trusting in God's plan. God's perfect plan.
And this sounds really dark so far. Jared, where is the hope? Well, maybe right now you're going through a time where it's just really hard to trust God. Maybe you can think of some situations where you said, I just can't do this, or that there's just no way. But let me keep reading from the text. When Abram was 99 years old, the Lord appeared to him and said, "I am God Almighty. Walk before me faithfully and be blameless. Then I will make my covenant between me and you and will greatly increase your numbers." Abram fell face down, and God said to him, "As for me, this is my covenant with you. You will be the father of many nations. No longer will you be called Abram. Your name will be Abraham." Ladies and gentlemen, here it is. The name change. As with every chapter we've looked at so far in this series, God comes into the character and changes their name. But wait, Jared, hasn't this whole video been about Sarai? Why are you talking about Abraham? Oh, Yeah, no, I guess you're right. Let me keep reading about what God said to Abraham.
God also said to Abraham, "As for Sarai your wife, you are no longer to call her Sarai. Her name will be Sarah. I will bless her and will surely give you a son by her. I will bless her so that she will be the mother of nations. Kings of peoples will come from her." I just want to reiterate what I just read. God comes in and says, well, as for your wife, she is getting a name change too. You see, because Sarai was labeling herself with her inability. So God wanted to come in and give her a new name. A reminder that we should never define ourselves by our inability because of what God has done and because of what God is doing. God defines us, and listen to how he defines Sarah. He says, Sarah, I'm changing your name because you will no longer be defined by your inability to have kids, but instead you will be the mother of nations. You will be called Sarah and have more offspring than you can count. Ladies and gentlemen, God came in and said, I don't want you to doubt anymore. Let me tell you what my plan is. You'll have more offspring than you can count, even at your old age. And listen to this, and know that when I say this, I mean this. With God, anything is possible. So, be careful how you define yourself. Because the Bible serves as a constant reminder that God is the only one who can tell us who we are. So stop looking at a situation and saying, I can't do this. But claim that phrase and say, with God, I can do anything. And also, keep trusting in his plan. Even if it's hard in the moment. You may think, how is God going to get me out of this? Well, Sarai was almost 100 years old with no kids. And look what God did. Trust me, he's going to come through for you too. Peace.